Hello, dear dreamers, and welcome to the Sleepy Blanket. Tonight we're sharing another soothing bedtime journey. A slow, peaceful train ride through snowy winter nights. Let your eyes grow heavy, your breathing slow, and together, we'll drift into dreams. Boarding the winter night train, the winter night was soft. Not sharp, not harsh, not stormy. Just soft. Snow fell slowly from a deep blue sky, like tiny pieces of quiet drifting down from somewhere high above. Each flake turned and twirled gently as it fell, glowing faintly in the pale silver light of the moon. The world around you felt hushed, as though someone had wrapped everything in a thick, warm blanket of stillness. You stood at the edge of a small, sleepy town, on an old wooden train platform. The boards under your feet creaked lightly when you shifted your weight, and a thin layer of snow coated each plank. Your footsteps had left soft impressions behind you, the only marks in an otherwise untouched sheet of white. You could see your breath in the air. Each exhale rose in a small cloud, then faded away, disappearing into the gentle darkness. You pulled your coat a little closer around yourself, not because the cold was painful, but because it sharpened your awareness of how peaceful everything was. There were no crowds, no rushing people, no loud announcements, just you. The platform, the quiet town behind you, and the wide winter night. Somewhere in the far distance, beyond a gentle bend in the tracks, a light shimmered faintly. At first, it was so small and dim, you might have thought you were imagining it. But slowly, very slowly, it grew brighter. A glow, warm and golden, appearing like a star rising from the horizon. You listened at first. You weren't sure what you were hearing. Then the sound became clearer, the low, steady hum of a train moving through the night. Not the sharp clatter of a modern express, not the roar of something fast. It was gentler than that, a smooth rolling sound. A slow, comforting rhythm. A constant, quiet whisper of wheels on snowy rails. Clack, clack, clack. The sound was almost like a heartbeat, reassuring, predictable, calm. As the train drew closer, the glow grew stronger, spreading across the snow. The light brushed the nearby trees, the track, and the platform around you, turning everything into soft shades of gold and silver. The snowflakes caught the light as they fell, each one sparkling for a brief moment before disappearing into the darkness again. Then, at last, the train emerged from the night. It was long and graceful, painted in a deep twilight blue that seemed to drink in the colors of the sky. Along its sides, thin lines of silver traced gentle patterns, catching the moonlight and lantern glow. Snow rested along the roof like icing on a cake, soft and tidy, as though the train itself had just wandered out of a dream. This was no ordinary train. This was the winter night train. The windows glowed warmly. Behind the glass, you saw hints of golden lamplight, the suggestion of cozy cabins, the soft shapes of couches and curtains and tables. It felt less like looking into a vehicle and more like peeking into a moving house or a traveling inn. Slowly crossing a winter landscape, the train slowed as it approached the platform, its motion smooth and gentle. There was no harsh screech of brakes, no jarring stops. Just a soft deceleration, like a lullaby winding down toward its final note. Snow around the tracks puffed slightly as the wheels passed, then settled again, undisturbed. You watched, and listened, and breathed. The train rolled to a stop in front of you. A moment of stillness followed, as if the world had taken one deep, quiet breath and was holding it gently. Then, with a faint hiss of warm air and the soft sound of metal moving, one of the carriage doors opened. A gentle spill of golden light spilled out onto the snowy platform. A man stepped out. He wore a long, dark blue coat and a matching cap, both dusted lightly with snow. A woolen scarf in shades of gray and deep green was wrapped around his neck. His hair was silver at the temples, and his eyes were soft and kind, lined with the quiet patience of someone who had seen many winters and many nights. He smiled when he saw you. Not a big, showy smile. Just a small, warm one. The kind that makes you feel immediately, instinctively welcome. "Good evening," he said, in a voice that was calm and steady, not loud enough to disturb the night, but clear enough to reach you easily. "Welcome to the winter night train." His words floated gently through the cold air, like snowflakes themselves. You didn't feel rushed to answer. You didn't feel any pressure at all. You simply stood there for a moment, taking him in, feeling the weight of your day, your week, your worries. Slowly, gently, begin to ease. "My name is Elias," the man continued, tipping his cap just a little. "I am the conductor of this train. We travel through the quiet places of winter nights, across calm forests, over frozen lakes, along snowy hills, and through the soft spaces between waking and sleeping." He paused, letting the silence rest between his words. "Anyone who boards this train," he said softly, "is welcome to rest, to breathe, to let go of the weight they carry. You do not have to be in a hurry here. You do not have to be strong or busy or perfect. You only need to be here. The train will do the traveling. You may simply rest." You felt something loosen in your chest at those words. How long had it been since someone told you that you didn't have to hurry? That you didn't have to do anything? That you could just rest? Snowflakes continued to fall around you, landing in your hair, on your coat, on your gloves. The platform creaked quietly as you shifted your weight. The night was wide and soft and patient, and the train was waiting. "You may come aboard," Elias said gently, taking a small step back and motioning with one hand toward the doorway. "This train has room for all who seek a gentle place to sleep." You took a breath. The air was cold in your lungs, but it felt clean, renewing. You stepped forward. With each step, the golden light from the open door grew warmer on your skin, like walking toward a fireplace after being outside in the snow. When you reached the doorway, you placed a hand on the cool metal railing, feeling the faint vibration of the train beneath your fingertips. Then, slowly, you climbed the small steps and stepped inside. Warmth wrapped around you instantly. The temperature inside was delightfully cozy, a gentle warmth that seeped into your hands and face without feeling heavy or stuffy. It was the kind of warmth that invited you to stay, to linger, to curl up and close your eyes. The entryway floor was polished wood, a deep, rich brown with subtle patterns in the grain. Golden lanterns hung from the ceiling, casting a soft, steady light that glowed rather than shone. The walls were lined with smooth wooden panels, and here and there small framed paintings of winter scenes hung: snowy hills, frozen rivers, sleepy villages, and starry skies. The sound of the train was different from inside, outside. It was a distant rhythm, a gentle rolling hum. Inside, it was softer, more muffled, like a heartbeat heard through a warm blanket. The faint, steady clack, clack, clack of the wheels on the tracks hummed beneath everything, a calming, repeating sound. "You're right on time, Elias," said with a faint laugh, as though the night itself had arranged your arrival. "Come, I will show you to your cabin." He began to walk slowly down a hallway, and you followed, your footsteps quiet on the wooden floor. The corridor stretched ahead, lined on either side with doors, each one a rich wooden color, with a small brass plaque holding a number. Above each door, a small lantern glowed, casting soft halos of light along the hallway. You caught glimpses through the small windows in some of the doors, cozy cabins, a small couch, a bed, a book resting open, a teacup, a folded blanket. In one, you saw an elderly woman sitting in a rocking chair, her knitting needles moving slowly as she watched the snow fall outside her window. In another, a young man slept peacefully, his head resting against the glass, lips parted in quiet breaths. The train did not feel crowded. It did not feel busy. It felt gently occupied, filled with resting travelers, each in their own small, peaceful world. As you walked, you could hear soft sounds. A quiet murmur of conversation from a lounge car, the faint clink of china teacups, a whisper of pages being turned in a book, the occasional gentle, sleepy laugh. Nothing loud, nothing sharp, everything smoothed by the rhythm of the train, wrapped in golden light and soft shadows. Finally, Elias stopped in front of the door. The brass plaque bore a small number that seemed perfect, somehow familiar, like a favorite page number in a beloved book, or a time of night that always felt the most peaceful to you. "This cabin," Elias said, his hand resting lightly on the doorknob, "is yours for as long as you wish to stay on this train. It's a good cabin, quiet, with a lovely view of the forest, and later, the lakes. I believe it will suit you." He opened the door quietly, as though not to disturb the stillness inside. Warm light spilled out. You stepped closer and looked in, and your heart softened instantly. Inside was the coziest small room you could imagine. A comfortable bed sat against the wall under the window, its blankets thick and soft, in gentle shades of cream and pale gray. A plump pillow rested at the head, inviting and cloud-like. A folded wool blanket lay neatly at the foot of the bed, just in case you wanted extra warmth. Beside the bed was a small wooden table, simple and well-made. On it sat a ceramic teapot and a single teacup, both decorated with small painted snowflakes in soft blue. Next to them was a candle in a glass holder, its flame flickering low, giving the room an additional layer of warm glow. A small armchair in the corner, upholstered in dark blue fabric, looked perfect for curling up in with a book or simply gazing out the window. A little shelf above the chair held a few books, stories, journals, and quiet collections of poems. And the window. The window opened onto the winter night. You could see the snow falling gently beyond, drifting past the glass in a slow, dance. Near the tracks, dark shapes of trees slid by, their branches outlined with snow. The sky was deep and dark, the moon hanging low and radiant, with stars scattered all around it like handfuls of glitter tossed across velvet. The view felt endless, yet peaceful. Moving, yet calm. Alive, yet deeply still. "Please, Elias," said softly, stepping aside, "make yourself at home. This is your space now. No one will disturb you here unless you ask. If you need anything at all, more tea, a warmer blanket, a story to help you drift off, you may pull the little silver cord by the door. I will hear it." You noticed the cord he mentioned, a delicate braided silver cord hanging near the door, its tassel resting just above the floor. Elias walked to the small table and lifted the teapot lid. A faint curl of steam rose into the air, carrying with it the gentle scent of chamomile and a hint of vanilla. "Sleep tea," he explained softly. "Caffeine-free, very friendly. It helps loosen the knots in the day. But if you prefer something else, we have winterberry tea, peppermint, and warm milk with honey. Anything to help you rest more deeply." He let the lid fall closed with a quiet click, then turned back to you, his eyes kind and steady. "You are safe here," he said gently. "The world outside can hurry and rush and chatter as much as it likes. But on this train, the night moves at a different pace. Slower, softer, more forgiving. You can set down everything you've been carrying and let the winter night train carry you instead." He moved toward the door. "I'll leave you to settle in," he added with a small smile. "We will be passing through the first forest soon. It's a beautiful sight from this cabin. Perfect for falling asleep." He tipped his cap again. Then he stepped out into the hallway and closed the door quietly behind him, leaving you alone in the gentle glow of your cabin. You stood in the center of the room for a moment. Listening, you could hear the faint hum of the train's engine, steady and low, the soft, rhythmic clack, clack, clack of the wheels on the tracks. The whisper of the wind brushing against the outside of the train. Inside, everything else was still. You took a deep breath. The air was warm and faintly scented with tea and wood and clean linens. Every part of the cabin seemed carefully chosen to be kind to a tired mind. Nothing harsh, nothing cluttered, nothing bright. You walked over to the bed and pressed down gently with your hand. The mattress yielded under your touch, plush and supportive. The blanket brushed your fingertips like a promised soft form. Patient. Your shoulders dropped, just a little. You hadn't even realized they were tense. You shrugged off your coat and laid it over the armchair. Your shoes came off next, your feet grateful to be free of the day. You wriggled your toes a little on the soft rug beside the bed, feeling how gentle it was under your feet. Outside the window, the scenery began to shift more quickly as the train picked up its smooth, easy pace again. You watched as the sleepy little town drifted away behind you, its few lights fading softly into the distance. Ahead, the dark shapes of pines and bare trees grew closer, rising up along the tracks. The train was entering the forest Elias had mentioned. You moved closer to the window. Snow-covered branches slid past in slow, graceful movements. Some held piles of snow that looked like white pillows. Others were thin and delicate, tracing lace-like patterns against the dark sky. Now and then, a tree would be close enough that you could see individual clusters of snow resting along its boughs, glowing faintly in the moonlight. It was like watching a painting move, calm, mesmerizing, endlessly. Gentle, your reflection looked back at you faintly in the glass, soft and slightly blurred under the dim cabin light. Your eyes seemed a little more peaceful already, a little less worried, a little more distant from the noise of the day. You listened again to the train clack, clack, clack. A rhythm, regular, slow, almost like a lullaby written in metal. And snow. You could almost imagine that each sound was a word spoken in a quiet, patient language. Rest, rest, rest. You smiled faintly to yourself. Your gaze drifted down to the bed again. It was starting to look very inviting. The softness of the blankets, the plumpness of the pillow, the dim, golden light from the lamp beside it. You moved toward the small table and lifted the teapot carefully. It was pleasantly warm in your hands. You poured the tea slowly into the waiting cup, the liquid making a soft, gentle sound as it filled the porcelain. Steam rose up in delicate spirals. The smell was soothing chamomile, vanilla, maybe a hint of honey, and something else that reminded you of a quiet winter evening spent indoors while snow fell outside. You wrapped your hands around the cup, letting the warmth seep into your fingers. You took a slow, careful sip. The tea was mild and smooth, just warm enough, with a faint sweetness that relaxed your tongue and throat. You felt the warmth travel down into your chest, spreading outward in a slow, peaceful wave. Outside, the forest continued to glide past. The trees stood tall and silent, guardians of the night. Between them, occasionally, you caught glimpses of open ground, blanketed in snow that lay smooth and undisturbed, like a sheet of white satin. The more you watched, the quieter your thoughts became. The loud, fast thoughts of the day to do. Lists, worries, conversations replayed again and again, all began to soften. They felt distant now, almost as if they belonged to someone else in some other world. Here, there was just this: the warm cabin, the soft bed, the snowy forest outside, the quiet, soothing rhythm of the winter night train. After a few more sips of tea, your eyes began to feel heavier. Not uncomfortably, just pleasantly. Like your body was gently reminding you that it was allowed to rest now, that it didn't have to stay alert, didn't have to stay ready, didn't have to stay on guard. You put the teacup down on the table, listening as it made a very soft click against the wood. Then, slowly, you turned down the blankets and slid into the bed. The mattress welcomed you with a gentle embrace. The blanket settled over you, warm but breathable, the fabric brushing your skin so softly that it was more like a feeling of warmth than a feeling of weight. You adjusted your head on the pillow until everything felt just right. Your neck relaxed. Your shoulders sank deeper into the mattress. Your legs grew heavier, more comfortable, more still. Outside, the forest glided on. The moon peeked occasionally between the trees. The snowflakes continued to fall without hurry, their quiet descent matching the slow descent of your thoughts. Then you felt a small movement near your feet. You lifted the blanket just a little and peered down, and there, curling carefully into a comfortable ball, was a cat. She was small and white, with fur so soft and fluffy it seemed to glow faintly in the lamplight. Her ears were tipped with a touch of silver, and her tail curled neatly around her body. She settled herself gently along the bottom edge of the bed, just near your feet, leaving you plenty of space. She glanced up at you with sleepy eyes that seemed to say, "Don't worry. I'm just here to rest." Too, she gave a tiny, contented sigh and closed her eyes, and then she began to purr. The sound was low and steady, a soft rumbling that blended perfectly with the train's rhythm. Clack, 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 purr, purr. Two gentle rhythms, layered over each other. The train carrying your body through the night. The cat carrying your mind into calmer places. You let your gaze drift up to the window one more time. The forest had grown thicker. Trees leaned in close on either side of the tracks, their trunks dark and tall, their branches carved against the sky. But there was nothing frightening about them. They were quiet, wise old giants, standing in silent companionship with the train as it passed. Beyond them, far above, the sky opened up again, and you could see more stars now. Dozens and hundreds of them, scattered like tiny lights strung across the universe. Some shone more brightly, others just faint glimmers, but together they made the sky feel full and alive. The sight of them filled you with a deep, soothing sense of belonging. You weren't alone in the night. The stars were watching. The trees were watching. The snow was listening. The train was carrying you safely through it all. You took another, slow breath in and out, in and out. With each breath, your body sank a little deeper into the mattress. With each breath, your muscles loosened a little more. With each breath, your thoughts floated farther and farther away. You could feel your hands growing heavier, resting gently at your sides or on top of the blanket. Your feet were warm now, comforted by the presence of the little cat. Your eyelids felt like they were being covered with soft, velvety snow, pulling them downward. You didn't fight it. You didn't need to. This was exactly why you were here. The winter night train had one task. One simple, kind job. To carry you through the night, while you did nothing at all but rest. You let your eyes close. Behind your eyelids, you could still feel the faint movement of the train. The gentle swaying that felt almost like being rocked in a cradle. The clack, clack, clack of the tracks became just a low, distant humming, like the sound of a distant ocean or a soft, steady drum. You felt the cat's warmth by your feet. You heard her purr again, faintly. The cabin light dimmed as your awareness drifted inward. You didn't know if someone had turned it down, or if your mind simply no longer needed to see it so sharply. The world outside the window faded into an impression of moving shadows and faint light. Time itself seemed too slow. And then stretch. And then blur. You did not need to know what time it was. You did not need to know when you would arrive anywhere. You did not need to plan, calculate, remember, or decide. All the things you usually carried in your mind could be set aside for now. The train would carry you. The conductor would watch. The night would hold you. You were safe, as your body grew heavier and your thoughts grew lighter. The border between waking and dreaming softened, just like the snow outside, turning sharp edges into gentle curves. Maybe, somewhere far away. In the train, you heard a door close softly. Maybe you heard the faint murmur of voices in the T-car. Maybe you heard Elias walking down the corridor, checking that every traveler was comfortable. But all of those sounds were distant now. Like echoes. Like whispers. Like memories of sound. The only things that mattered now were the warmth of your blanket, the softness of your pillow, the gentle rocking of the train, the quiet, patient purring of the cat, the deep, comforting rhythm beneath it all. Clack, clack, glack, rest, 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 rest. And slowly, calmly, peacefully, you drifted deeper and deeper into sleep. The winter night train moved onward through the snowy forest, unhurried, quiet, and sure. The moon watched from above. The stars kept their gentle, silent vigil. The snow continued to fall, flake after flake, covering the world in a soft, glowing blanket of white. Inside your cabin, in your warm, safe bed, under your soft, weightless blankets, you slept on. Carried gently across the winter night, toward dreams that would be kind to you. The night was long, the train was patient. There was nowhere you needed to be, except right here, on this train, in this moment, resting completely. And the journey had only just begun. Snow over silent forests, the winter night train rolled onward into the darkness, deeper and deeper into the quiet heart of winter. Outside your window, the last soft lights of the town had long faded away, swallowed gently by the snowy fields and shadowy trees. All that remained now was the night, wide, peaceful, and endlessly calm. You slept for a while. Not a deep, heavy sleep at first, but a drifting, floating kind of rest, the kind of sleep where your mind loosened and softened, like snow melting slowly into warm water. You sank into the warmth of the bed, wrapped in blankets that felt like clouds wrapped around you, and the steady rhythm of the train held you, rocked you, lulled you. Clack, clack, clack. The world outside went on moving, whether you noticed or not. The train passed through long stretches of forest, where tall pines stood like quiet guardians on either side of the tracks. Snow settled thickly along their branches, softening every edge, muting every sharp line. Moonlight painted silver shapes across the snow, and the wind whispered secrets through the needles of the trees. You might have stayed asleep the whole night through. But sleep is a gentle thing. Sometimes it drifts. Sometimes it changes shape. Sometimes you rise just enough to feel yourself floating near the surface, and then sink again. After some time, maybe minutes, maybe hours, you felt your awareness drift upward just slightly. Not fully awake, not fully asleep. Just hovering in a dreamy, weightless place. Your eyes opened, slowly, lazily, like petals unfolding at dawn. The cabin was dim and warm, lit now only by the soft amber glow of the bedside lamp turned low. Shadows lay gently across the room, their edges blurred and rounded by the softness of the light. For a moment, you simply lay there, still, quiet, peaceful, listening. The cat still rested at the foot of your bed, curled into a perfect snow-white circle, her tail wrapped neatly around her body. Her ears twitched slightly every now and then, but her breathing was slow and deep, and her soft purring rose and fell like distant thunder under clouds of wool. You smiled faintly. Outside the window, the world rolled by. The forest had grown denser now, the trees taller and closer together. Their trunks were dark, their branches heavy with snow. Sometimes, when the moonlight slipped through breaks in the branches, it cast glowing streaks across the snow, like silver rivers flowing beside the tracks. The sight was so peaceful that even though you had stirred from sleep, You did not feel startled or unsettled. You simply felt calm, curious, but calm. Your eyes wandered across the cabin, the warm wood, the small table, the teacup now empty, the gentle flicker of the candle flame in the glass holder. Everything looked exactly as you had left it, just slightly dreamlike. As though the edges of reality had softened while you slept. You shifted slightly under the blanket, feeling the satisfying weight of it against your body. The mattress hugged your shape just right. Every movement was slow, smooth, unhurried. You noticed something else. A faint glow spilled into the hallway outside your cabin door. And with it came the distant murmur of low voices. Soft, friendly, like quiet conversation shared between people who had known each other a long time. It wasn't loud enough to disturb. It was simply a reminder that the train, too, was alive, carrying others who rested and dreamed along with you. And beneath it all, always was the rhythm, clack, 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 rest, rest, rest. You lay still for another few breaths. In and out, in and out, your chest rising and falling with easy rhythm. Eventually, a gentle thought drifted into your mind. Perhaps a short walk might feel nice. Not a long walk, not an effort. Just a few soft steps through the hallway. Just enough to feel the train moving around you. You didn't rush the decision. You simply allowed the thought to stay there a while. And when it felt right, you slowly slipped out from beneath the blanket. The air outside the covers felt slightly cooler on your skin, but not cold. Just refreshing. Like stepping onto a shaded porch on a warm evening. You placed your feet slowly on the soft rug beside the bed, enjoying the feeling of the fabric beneath your toes. The little white cat stirred only slightly. She lifted her head, blinked once at you with heavy-lidded eyes, then gave a tiny, lazy yawn before settling back into her comfortable curl. You whispered gently, even though you didn't need to, "I'll be back soon," as though she understood. She flicked her tail once and continued purring. You stretched your arms slowly overhead, feeling your muscles lengthen. Then you reached for your robe or shawl, whatever soft layer felt comforting. Wrapping it loosely around yourself, the train swayed faintly beneath your feet as you walked to the door, but even the swaying felt supportive, like a cradle, like a lullaby, like the whole train existed only to help you rest. You opened the cabin door carefully so as not to wake anyone else. The hallway beyond glowed with gentle lantern light. The warm amber tones made the wood grain shimmer softly. Everything felt cozy and hushed. Like the inside of a quiet winter enduring a snowstorm, safe and sheltered from the world. Outside, you stepped out and closed the door quietly behind you. The carpet runner under your bare or sock-covered feet was thick and soft. It muffled every step you took, so you felt as silent as the falling snow outside. The soft murmur of voices grew slightly clearer now, just hints of conversation. Laughter that sounded barely louder than a sigh, the faintest clink of porcelain. The sound drifted from the direction of the tea carriage. You moved that way slowly, calmly, letting the train's movement guide your steps. Along the way, you glanced at the closed cabin doors you passed. The lanterns above each one glowed patiently. Some had soft shadows beneath them where sleepers rested. In others, you imagined someone half awake, like you, watching the snow through their window, feeling that same deep quiet in their heart. the hallway opened into a wider area, the entrance to the tea lounge, the moment you stepped through. A new layer of warmth wrapped around you. The tea lounge was beautiful. Golden light shimmered from low-hung-in lamps with frosted glass shades, casting patterns onto the tables and ceiling. The walls were lined with dark polished wood, interrupted by tall windows where snow and moonlight painted moving scenes in shades of silver and blue. Several small tables sat spaced comfortably apart, each with soft chairs upholstered in deep red or midnight blue fabric. A fireplace stood at one end of the carriage, its flames flickering quietly, giving off a gentle glow and a faint crackling whisper. Only a few people were there at this late hour. Or perhaps early morning. An elderly couple sat at a table near the fire, sitting side by side rather than across from one another, sharing tea without speaking much. Now and then their hands brushed, and they smiled softly. A young woman wearing a thick knitted sweater stared dreamily out the window, her chin resting on her hand, her tea untouched but warming her fingers. And beyond the counter stood Amina, the storyteller you had glimpsed before, a woman with warm brown eyes and long dark hair loosely tied back, moving gracefully, as though every motion were part of a gentle dance. When she saw you, her smile blossomed like soft sunlight drifting through morning mist. "Ah," she said in a voice that flowed like warm honey, "you've woken a little." You nodded, returning the smile. She didn't ask why. She didn't ask if you'd slept well yet. She simply accepted your presence with kindness. "Tea?" she asked gently. Her voice alone was calming enough to melt away the last tiny knots inside your chest. "Yes, please," you replied softly. "What kind would you like?" she asked. Her hands moved effortlessly among delicate porcelain teapots, each labeled with small handwritten tags. Chamomile, lavender, winterberry, peppermint, or something creamy and warm with honey. You paused for a moment, noticing which scent your heart leaned toward. You chose. She nodded slowly, approvingly, as though your choice were perfect. Because here, all gentle choices were. She prepared the tea quietly, reverently, like someone performing a peaceful ceremony. Steam curled into the air in graceful spirals. The soft clink of cup against saucer sounded somehow musical against the steady hum of the train. You wrapped your hands around the warm teacup, feeling the heat seep softly into your palms and fingers. "Take your time," Amina said kindly. "There is no rush on this train." You believed her. You carried the tea to a seat near a window, one where you could see both the snow-covered forest and the faint reflection of the cozy lounge behind you. You settled into the soft chair. It welcomed you, like the cabin bed had. Like the train itself had. You brought the cup to your lips and inhaled gently before sipping. The scent was soothing, delicate, and sweet. The first sip was slow, warm, and calming, settling deep inside your chest. Outside, the forest slipped silently past, tall black silhouettes of trees, white blankets of snow draped over the ground, moonlight catching on branches, turning the world into softly glowing silver shapes. The quiet stretched wide. The snow seemed to muffle even the thoughts inside your mind. Amina moved quietly from table to table, refilling cups, offering extra blankets, adjusting lamps. She never hurried. Every motion felt intentional, graceful, peaceful. Then gently she approached your table, "May I sit for a moment?" she asked softly. You nodded. She took the chair opposite you, not leaning forward, not intruding, simply sharing the space like a candle lighting another candle, without taking any light away. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "the forest helps people rest." You looked out the window again. "The snow over the silent trees," she continued, "is like a soft hush laid across the world. It tells the heart there is nothing more to do now, that it's okay to slow down, to breathe, to arrive in the moment you're already in." You listened, not because you needed answers, but because her words themselves felt like sleep. "Out there," she said, motioning gently toward the snowy woods, "everything lives at its own pace. The trees don't hurry. The snow doesn't force itself to fall. Even the stars don't race. They simply shine. And the world continues." Snow drifted lazily past the glass, dancing softly through pockets of light. "For many travelers," Amina whispered, "this is the first time in a long while they have been carried instead of carrying. And sometimes the body forgets what it feels like to be held." You realized she was right. You had grown so used to holding things, schedules, plans, responsibilities, worries, that you had almost forgotten what it felt like to let something else hold you. But the train was holding you now. The night was holding you now. The snow, the moonlight, the quiet rhythm, all of it was one long, gentle cradle. You felt your throat loosen, your shoulders drop again, your breathing deepen. She smiled that warm, knowing smile, and rose again. "Stay as long as you like," she said softly. "And when you return to your cabin, the night will still be here to keep you company." Then she drifted back toward the counter, leaving you with your tea, your thoughts, and the forest sliding silently past. You stayed there for some time, maybe minutes, maybe hours. Time on the winter night train didn't behave the same way as time in the busy world. Here, it flowed like honey, thick, slow, golden, unhurried. Eventually, your cup was empty. You placed it carefully on the saucer, listening to the faint porcelain chime. You looked out at the snow one last time, watching the flakes swirl, settle, disappear. A peaceful heaviness settled over your eyes again. Your body knew what it wanted. Rest. You rose from the chair slowly, thanking Amina with a grateful nod. She returned the gesture with another soft smile, then silently turned her attention to the kettle again. You walked back through the hallway, the lanterns glowing softly, the train swaying gently, and returned to your cabin. You opened the door quietly. The little cat lifted her head and blinked again, as if to say, "There you are. I kept your place warm." You slipped back into the bed. The blankets wrapped around you again. The pillow cradled your head. Your body sighed deep and grateful, settling immediately into comfort. Outside the window, the trees continued their silent watch. The stars shimmered, and the train rolled onward. You closed your eyes, letting the last faint thought drift away like snow in the wind. And once again, you slept, deeply, softly, safely, carried through the silent forests. On the winter night train, the midnight car, the night deepened. Outside, the winter night train slid through a world wrapped in quiet silver. Snow continued to drift down from the sky, in slow, graceful spirals, blanketing everything it touched. Forests, hills, frozen. Streams all rested under the calm tenderness of winter night, inside your cabin. You slept. Not the light drifting of earlier, but something deeper now. Something peaceful. Something that held you softly, like a lullaby wrapped around your heart. The white cat still curled near your feet. Her purring so constant and faint that it blended completely into the sound of the train. The steady rhythm of wheels rolling gently over tracks, clack. 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 Time moved gently forward. Hours slipped by, like soft feathers floating down from a cloudy sky. Eventually, you stirred again, not because anything disturbed you, but because sometimes, in the long quiet of night, the soul wakes for a moment simply to feel the softness of existing. Your eyes opened slowly. Your breath flowed calm and steady. You felt rested, yet dreamy, grounded, yet floating. The cabin remained dim and warm, the bedside lamp glowing like a single bright star in a small universe of wooden walls and soft blankets. Your pillow still cradled your head. Your body lay heavy and relaxed, wrapped in the gentle weight of the bedding. You listened. You always listened first. The train hummed softly. The wind whispered. Snow brushed faintly against the window glass. Everything felt serene. The cat opened one sleepy eye, blinking at you as if to say, "You're awake again, but only a little." You smiled softly. You weren't fully awake, nor did you wish to be. But sometimes, there is a kind of magic that lives in the middle of the night. A gentle invitation to wander through stillness, rather than rushing back to dreams. You shifted slowly, stretching beneath the blankets. Your muscles sighed. Your bones felt warm. Your heart felt quiet. Outside, the trees gave way to open land. Wide snowy fields rolled beneath the moonlight. Endless and soft, like oceans made of stars and frost. And somewhere in that open night, the tea lounge called to you again, not loudly, but gently. Like a warm light flickering at the end of a hallway. You hesitated for a moment. The bed was so warm, so safe, so perfect, but curiosity, the soft, sleepy kind, rose like steam from a mug of cocoa. And so, very slowly, very peacefully, you sat up. You moved, like a shadow sliding through candlelight. Calmly, quietly, softly, you slipped once more into your robe or shawl. Something gentle, something warm. Your feet touched the rug. You paused for a breath, not because you had to, but because life felt too beautiful to rush. Then you stood. The cat lifted her head again, blinking slow approval, her tail curling contentedly around her paws. She did not follow. She simply watched, guardian of your resting space. "Guard the bed for me," you whispered softly. Her ears twitched. That was enough. You went to the door, opened it with care, and stepped into the lantern-lit hallway. The night shift of the train had fallen into deeper stillness. Many lamps were dimmed. The glow that remained flickered low and honeygold. Shadows layered softly across the wooden walls, blooming and fading with the rhythm of the train. You walked slowly, barely making a sound. Like snow walking on snow, your footsteps carried you once more toward the lounge. But this time, something felt different. Something quieter, softer, even more dreamlike. The tea lounge. When you reached it, greeted you like an old friend. Golden lanterns glowed low. The fireplace whispered quietly, flames curling softly around logs. The windows shimmered with silver reflections of stars and snow. But the biggest difference was this. It was almost empty. Only one or two souls rested within. A man asleep in an armchair, head tilted back, lips parted in slow breathing. A young mother curled on a couch with her child sleeping against her chest, both wrapped in the same blanket. And, behind the counter, Amina. She looked up as you entered, as though she could sense you before you even spoke. Her smile was softer tonight, touched with moonlight and warmth. "You've come again," she said gently. There was no surprise in her voice, only understanding. There are travelers, after all, who awake in the middle of the night, not seeking noise or activity, but seeking comfort, seeking presence, seeking the kind of quiet that makes the world feel kind and safe. You walked toward the counter. She didn't rush you. She didn't ask questions. She simply poured, as if she already knew. Warm tea, fragrant and calming. The steam rose up like a small ghost of comfort, wrapping the air around you in scent and warmth. "Sit wherever calls to you," Amina said softly. You chose a seat near the window, but also not too far from the fire. The chair held you like an embrace. Your tea rested in your hands, and the world felt whole. Outside the window, the night had deepened into a deeper shade of blue, darker than the earlier sky, but softer too. Clouds drifted lazily across the stars, their edges glowing faintly. Snow danced through the air, not in a storm, but in a slow, wandering ballet of light and softness. The fields beyond stretched like an endless quilt. The world was asleep. Amina moved quietly around the lounge, adjusting blankets and adding wood to the fire. She made no unnecessary noise. Every sound she created seemed to belong part of the lullaby of the train. After some time, she joined you, not intruding, just sharing space. She didn't speak at first. Instead, the two of you simply watched the snow. It was peaceful.com, healing then. After a long, slow moment, she spoke. "Every night," she said softly, almost whispering, "this train passes through a place where the world forgets to hurry." You looked at her gently. She continued. "People come aboard, carrying so much," she said. "Thoughts, worries, memories, plans, doubts, expectations. The noise of those thoughts can become louder than the world around them." You nodded. You understood. "But here," Amina said, her smile tender, "the noise fades." Her eyes drifted toward the snowy fields. "It fades not because it is forced away," she added, "but because the night holds people gently enough that they remember. They are allowed to rest." Her words sank slowly into you, like snow settling softly on still ground. "Sometimes," she said, more quietly now, "people forget that rest is not a reward. It is not something you must earn. It is not something you must prove you deserve." She turned toward you fully now, her gaze kind and warm. "Rest," she whispered, "is a right. Simply because you exist." Your eyes softened, your chest loosened, your breath deepened. She took a breath as gentle as yours. "This tea car," she continued, motioning around the lounge, "exists for the hours when the world grows the most silent. Some people wake during the night not because they need to think, but because their hearts wish to sit quietly for a moment, to feel held, to remember they are not alone." The fire crackled softly. Somewhere in the back of the carriage, the child shifted and sighed. The train rolled steadily beneath everything. And when they are ready, Amina said, her smile returning like sunlight through trees, they go back to sleep. Deeper, softer, kinder to themselves than before. You looked back at the window. At the snow. At the stars. You didn't need to reply, because you knew she already understood. You took another slow sip of tea. Warmth flowed through your chest. Calm flowed through your veins. You felt yourself drifting again, not asleep yet, but close, very close. The quiet wrapped around you like layers of silk. Amina stood slowly. I'll refresh the kettle, she whispered. Stay as long as you wish. And so you did. For a while, you simply existed there. You watched the world move past. You listened to the quiet. You felt your body grow heavier in the most peaceful way. Eventually, you blinked slowly. And realized your tea was gone. Your eyelids heavy. Your shoulders loose. Your thoughts floating. It was time. Time to return to the soft nest of your cabin. You rose gently from the chair, thanked Amina with a nod filled with gratitude, and walked slowly back down the lantern-lit hallway. The cabin door welcomed you like a returning friend. Inside, the cat still slept. The bed still waited. The night still wrapped everything in softness. You slipped once more beneath the blankets. The pillow cupped your head tenderly. You sighed a deep ect, released breath, and let your body sink. All the complore. Way down deeper. Incher. Outside. Snow whispered against the glass. The train end once again. You slept, but this time, you slept deeper, softer, more peacefully than before. Carried gently through the midnight quiet on the winter night. Train. A village wrapped in light. The winter night train continued its quiet journey through the long silver darkness, sailing softly through valleys of snow and forests of sleeping pines. The world outside seemed to breathe slow, deep, peaceful breaths as though winter itself were alive and dreaming. Inside your cabin, you rested, sometimes sleeping deeply, sometimes drifting in a hazy, floating comfort, sometimes hovering between dreaming and waking. And all the while, the train carried you, safe, steady, wrapped in warmth. The little white cat still curled at your feet. Like a snow-soft guardian, her small chest rose and fell in a gentle rhythm. Her purring had become so much a part of the air that it felt like another heartbeat in the room. Time moved like snowflakes, drifting down from the sky. Slow, graceful, unhurried. Eventually, just as before, you stirred again. Not because of noise. Not because of worry. But because sometimes, the night is too beautiful to sleep through completely. Your eyelids fluttered open. The cabin remained dim and golden. The air warm and comforting. The window shimmering softly with moving moonlight. You lay there quietly for a while, not rushing to move. Not rushing to think, simply noticing how calm the world felt. The rhythm of the train continued beneath you. Clack, clack, clack. Like a lullaby woven into reality. You inhaled softly. Exhaled slowly. The blanket felt wonderfully warm against your skin. The pillow cradled your head perfectly. Your body was heavy, but not tired. Instead, you felt rested. In a way that was deep and kind. A way that didn't just belong to your body, but to your heart. Outside the window, the forest began to thin. The tall silhouettes of trees gave way to wider, open views. Snow-covered fields stretched far into the darkness, glowing faintly under the moon. And in the distance, barely at first, a scattering of golden lights flickered against the horizon. Soft, small, inviting, a village, a quiet winter village, wrapped in light. You watched as the lights slowly grew closer, first dots, then small glowing windows, then the soft outline of rooftops covered in thick blankets of snow. The sight filled you with a feeling you could not quite name. Something like home, or safety, or a memory of evenings long ago, warm hands, soft blankets, laughter tucked into candlelight. The cat lifted her head, sensing your attention. Her ears flicked, then she settled again, contentedly purring. You rose slowly, not from urgency, but from gentle curiosity. You slipped once again into your cozy robe or shawl. The floor beneath your feet was warm and welcoming. As you stood, you felt steady and grounded, the movement of the train beneath you like a rocking cradle. You stepped quietly into the hallway. Tonight, or perhaps early morning, even fewer travelers were awake. The lanterns along the corridor had dimmed further, like fireflies at rest. The warm glow created an amber tunnel of light leading gently toward the observation lounge, a place Elias had briefly mentioned earlier when he welcomed you aboard. The observation lounge, a carriage with wide curved windows, built so that travelers could sit and watch the world unfold. You followed the faint glow. Each step remained soft, unhurried, sleepy. The hallway opened into a spacious, beautifully arranged carriage filled with deep armchairs, soft couches, and wide windows that wrapped partway up the walls, allowing the winter landscape to spill inside. The room felt like a dream. Snow shimmered just beyond the glass, close enough to feel, but warm and safe inside. Lamps glowed like small moons around the room. A few travelers rested there, silent, relaxed, wrapped in blankets, gazing dreamily out into the gentle night. Near one of the large windows, you saw Elias, the kind conductor, sitting quietly, hands folded around a cup of tea. He noticed you, and his face softened into that familiar warm smile. "Good evening," he said softly, though the night may have been far past evening by now. Or perhaps, "Good dreaming." You smiled back. He motioned gracefully to the seat beside him. "Come," he said, "sit. We are approaching the village soon. Many travelers enjoy seeing it." You sank gently into the chair. It embraced you completely. You tucked a blanket around yourself. The fabric felt like warm snow, soft, clean, comforting. For a few moments, you and Elias simply sat together, looking out into the silver world beyond the glass. The village grew nearer. One by one, the shapes became clearer, little houses with steep roofs to catch the snow, chimneys breathing faint trails of smoke, trees decorated not with ribbons or ornaments, but with little icicles that glittered like crystal lanterns in the moonlight. Snow lay thick across everything. Rooftops, fences, small wooden bridges crossing frozen streams. The village streets were lined with soft golden lights, lanterns hung from posts, or glowing inside windows. And though the village slept, it glowed with warmth, like a lantern floating in a sea of winter. You felt something release inside. Youa, subtle easing. A tiny untying of an invisible knot. Elias watched the scene just as peacefully. "This village," he said after a long, restful silence, "has been here longer than any of us. Long before there were trains, and long before there were roads." His voice carried the same calm as the snow. "People here live quietly," he continued. "They grow their food. They share stories. They spend winter nights together, not in loud celebration, but in simple companionship. Kindness is natural here." The glow from the village flickered across his features, making him appear both ancient and ageless, like winter itself were telling the story through him. "Long ago," Elias added gently, "a traveler came to this village, tired, hungry, lost. The people shared their bread, their warmth, their hearth. And ever since, travelers passing through these lands have felt that echo of kindness." You watched the softly glowing cottages, hearth smoke curled upward. Moonlight wrapped everything in silver. Snow fell gently. No one hurried, no one rushed. The village simply existed. "And so," Elias finished, "we always slow the train when we pass here, so that those aboard may rest their eyes, and perhaps feel that warmth inside their hearts." The train indeed slowed, barely, but enough that you could savor the scene. You imagined families asleep inside the cottages, wrapped in quilts, their fires glowing low. Dreams drifting softly through their rooms, like snowflakes in candlelight. You imagined bread cooling by the hearth, logs resting on crackling firewood, cats curled on windowsills, children tucked beneath heavy blankets. Breathing slow and deep, you imagined peace. And somehow, as you imagined it, that peace flowed into you, through your chest, through your breath, through your bones. Elias placed his empty teacup down and folded his hands in his lap. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "it helps the heart to remember that somewhere in the world, there are places where kindness still lives." He paused a moment. "And that you deserve to feel that kindness, not only from others, but toward yourself." You absorbed his words the way snow absorbs sound, gently, completely, without resistance. Outside, the village shimmered. Past snow-covered roofs, glowing windows, sleep-soft cottages. The train rolled by like a dream. Drifting through another dream, a small clock tower rose near the center of the village, its face glowing faintly. The hands moved slowly, not hurried, not urgent, just marking the passing of peaceful time. A frozen river curved along one side of the village. Lanterns lit the bridges arcing across it, their reflections glowing like jewels. Beneath the glass-smooth ice, the world felt like a picture carved into memory, and then, just as softly as it had appeared, the village began to fade behind you. Not abruptly, not sadly, just gently. Like the last line of a lullaby before silence, you continued watching the place where it had been until only snowy hills remained. Then, slowly, you turned your gaze back inside the train. Elias rose with the same calm grace he always carried. "I must walk the train for a while," he said, smiling softly. "But I am glad you saw the village." "So am I," you murmured. He gave a small bow, not formal, just kind, and walked gently down the aisle, checking lanterns, adjusting blankets, making sure every traveler remained safe and warm. You stayed seated a while longer, letting the glow of that village remain in your thoughts. like the memory of a warm fire still flickering behind closed eyes. Eventually, your body grew heavier again. Your eyelids, soft, slow, sleepy. The chair felt impossibly comfortable, but something inside you whispered, "Home." And you realized your cabin felt like home now, at least for this journey, so you rose, slowly, carefully, letting the blanket fall gently back across the chair. You walked back along the lantern-lit hallway. Your steps were soft enough that they sounded like part of the night itself. When you reached your cabin, the little white cat lifted her head, eyes sleepy, tail curling. "There you are." Her look seemed to say. You smiled. You slipped once more beneath the blankets. They welcomed you like an embrace you had waited your whole life to return to. The pillow cupped your head tenderly. The mattress hugged your body fully. The cat curled again near your feet, a small warm star of fur and comfort. Outside, the snowy world flowed on. The train hummed its lullaby, and your mind drifted not into dreams just yet, but toward them. Softly, slowly, sweetly, you felt the echo of the village warmth still glowing in your heart. You felt the kindness of the night surrounding you. And gradually, like snow falling gently from a quiet sky, you slipped deeper and deeper into peaceful sleep, carried forward by the winter night train through the long velvet night. Stars over frozen lakes night held the world in a cradle of silver. The winter night train glided onward through the deep quiet of winter, moving gently across the sleeping landscape. The snow-covered forests slowly thinned, and the trees opened into wide, moon-washed spaces, where the world stretched far and endless beneath the star-filled sky. You slept softly, deeply, like a feather resting on still water. The cat lay curled as always at your feet, warm, peaceful, and endlessly calm. Her soft purring blending with the steady whisper of the wheels beneath the carriage. Clack, clack, clack. Again, time moved without hurry. Minutes dissolved. Hours softened. Dreams came and went, like clouds drifting slowly across a quiet moon. Eventually, your body shifted. Your mind floated closer to waking. Not fully, never suddenly. Only gently. Your eyes opened. The cabin was dim, wrapped in warm amber shadows. The lamp glowed softly. The air felt still and serene, as though the night itself were sitting quietly beside your bed, watching over you. You breathed in and out, calm, slow, peaceful. Outside the window, the scenery had changed. Where once there were thick, dark forests, now you saw something vast and shimmering. A frozen lake, or perhaps not just one lake, but a chain of them, stretching far into the horizon. They lay quiet beneath the moon, smooth and glistening like silver glass. Snow dusted their edges in soft white lace, and every now and then the moonlight kissed the icy surface, sending gentle glimmers rippling like starlight fall into earth. The sight filled you with wonder, but not the loud, sudden kind. More like a deep, slow warmth of quiet awe, as though the world were whispering, "Look, you are passing through magic." The cat blinked up at you, then tucked her head beneath her tail again, drifting further into sleep. You lay still a little longer, letting your heart align with the beauty outside. You felt steady, soft, held. Eventually, as before, curiosity unfolded gently inside you. Not a sharp curiosity, but one that moved as slowly and gracefully as the train. Through snow, you slipped again from beneath the blanket. The floor welcomed your feet. The cabin glowed. Everything, absolutely everything, felt safe. This time, instead of the tea lounge or observation car, you followed another soft instinct. You remembered Elias once mentioning a small viewing platform, enclosed and warm but with wide glass walls. A place meant for quiet reflection and sky watching. A place where stars felt closer. You wrapped a shawl or robe around yourself, opened the door and stepped silently into the lantern-lit hall. Most travelers still slept deeply, now wrapped in blankets, sinking into dreams. The hallway lights had been dimmed to a gentle gold, leaving the edges of shadows soft and round. Your footsteps made no sound at all, just the train and the night. As you walked slowly forward, the hallway opened into a narrow passage filled with windows stretching high above your head, almost to the ceiling. The air felt the same warm temperature as the rest of the train, but the openness brought the night closer, as though you were sitting inside the sky itself. This was the star-viewing carriage, quiet, sacred, soft. Only one other traveler rested there, a man wrapped in a thick blanket, asleep in his chair. His head turned slightly toward the stars, as though even in sleep, he was listening to them. You chose a seat near the middle of the window wall. It felt like stepping into the night without ever leaving the train. The frozen lakes stretched in every direction. Their surfaces shone with cold silver light. The sky above shimmered with thousands of stars, scattered across the darkness like jewels cast upon deep velvet. Some glowed faintly. Some burned brighter, white, or blue, or golden. And together, they made the night feel vast beyond imagination. Yet strangely comforting, as though you were small. But safely small. Wonderfully small. Part of something huge and gentle. The train moved smoothly along a track that wound like a black ribbon across the snow near the edges of the lakes, the stars reflected in the ice, so that below you and above you there were constellations, stars in the sky, stars in the frozen water, and the winter night train floated quietly through the middle of them, like a ship sailing across an ocean of light. You sighed softly, not a sigh of sadness, but one of release. You felt your chest open a little wider, your breath deepen, your mind loosen further from the last bits of noise or tension that still lingered. After a little while, you sensed someone approach. You didn't startle. The presence felt familiar, calm, grounded, warm. Elias. He appeared beside you quietly, carrying a simple cup of tea in both hands. He sat in the chair nearest yours, not too close, not too far, like a guardian of peace. For those who like to watch the lakes, he said gently, we prepare something calming. Warm milk with honey. Or tea that tastes like clouds. You smiled because that description felt exactly right. He handed you the cup. You held it between your hands. Slow warmth seeped into your palms, into your wrists, into your arms. You looked again at the stars. For a long while, neither of you spoke. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of snow whispers, full of starlight, full of the steady heartbeat of the train. Finally, Elias spoke. Long ago, he said quietly, before trains crossed this land, travelers sometimes walked or rode through the snow. It was a difficult journey. cold, endless, sometimes lonely. He paused. The lakes would freeze, he continued, and at night, they would reflect the stars. And the travelers would stop, just for a moment, to look, and remember they were not alone. That the world was wide, yes, but also full of life and wonder. The stars shimmered. The lakes shone. Even today, he said, people forget that the world holds beauty quietly all the time, even when they are too busy or weary to see it. You sipped your warm drink, it flowed through you like melted gold. You are allowed, Elias added softly, to pause, to breathe, to gaze. Upward or outward, not to solve anything, but simply to remember that you exist in a world that can still be tender. Tender, the word wrapped around you like a blanket. You watched the constellations drift slowly above the horizon as the train curved along the lakes. Shooting stars occasionally traced faint silver lines across the sky, brief but beautiful. The night deepened further. The air remained still. Nothing needed to change. Nothing needed to be fixed. Everything simply was. You leaned back in the chair and let your head rest. Your breath slowed. Again, your eyelids drooped. The stars blurred at the compo's edges. But before sleep returned fully, a faint sound reached you. Not loud, not alarming, just natural. A soft cracking noise, like ice shifting under moonlight. Elias smiled gently. The lakes speak sometimes, he said, not in danger, only in winter voices. The ice sings as it settles and stretches. You listened. The sound echoed faintly, deep, resonant, like the lowest, softest drum, calm, grounded, alive. It is the earth, he added, reminding us that everything moves, even in stillness. Your eyes softened, your heart softened. The night wrapped around you fully, and you realized something. There was nothing more you needed to do, nothing more you needed to become. Just this, just being, just resting. The drink in your hands grew lighter. As you finished it, your body grew heavier in the chair. Your thoughts thinned like mist. After a while, Elias rose. I will leave you to the stars, he whispered kindly. They are very good listeners. He moved away quietly, checking lanterns, smoothing blankets, caring for the gentle world aboard the train. You remained, until the heaviness behind your eyelids grew irresistibly sweet. Then, as before, you returned to your cabin. The door welcomed you back. The cat lifted her head sleepily, then curled even tighter when you slipped beneath the blanket again. Your pillow embraced you. The mattress supported you. The night kissed your forehead silently. And then, finally, you drifted, deeper than before, into a sleep so peaceful that even dreams moved slowly like snow across a frozen lake. The winter night train rolled on, beneath a ceiling of starlight, beside a mirror sea of frozen silver, carrying you gently through the tender quiet of the world. You slept on, safe, soft, loved by the night. Grandfather Rowan's gentle talus. The winter night train glided onward through the long velvet night, its wheels singing their quiet lullaby beneath the carriage. Outside, the frozen lakes slowly slipped away into darkness, replaced again by soft rolling hills wrapped in blankets of shimmering snow. Above it all, the sky stretched wide and calm, a tapestry of deep blue silk stitched with tiny threads of silver light. Inside your cabin, you slept deeply, safely, wrapped in warmth and stillness. The white cat curled near your feet like a little snow cloud, breathing slow and steady. From time to time, her ears twitched, as though she listened to distant dreams about moonlit fields or drifting feathers. Her soft purr blended so perfectly with the rhythm of the train that it sounded like one long, beautiful sound. Clack, 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 purr purr, 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 purr. The night held the world gently, and the world held you. Time passed, but you did not notice it. Sleep carried you softly, like a floating leaf on a calm winter stream. The bed embraced you. The blankets cocooned you. The pillow molded perfectly beneath your head. Eventually, your mind rose once more toward the quiet surface of awareness, not abruptly, but slowly, softly, as though the night itself were lifting you to whisper. You may wake for just a moment now, if you wish. Your eyes fluttered open. The world remained dim and golden, the bedside lamp glowing low. Shadows rested peacefully in every corner of the cabin. Outside the window, hills of snow rolled past like frozen waves beneath moonlight. You didn't move right away. You simply breathed in and out, in and out. Your body felt heavier than before, in the best way. Heavy, like a coat of calm. Heavy, like a heart that had been allowed to rest. The cat stretched slightly, paws extending, then curled again, purring without waking. You felt another presence in the air. Not someone in the room, just awareness. Warm, kind, old, and then you remembered something. Elias had once mentioned in passing a gentle traveler who sometimes sat in the lounge during the deepest hours of night, telling quiet stories not to entertain, but to soothe. His name was Grandfather Rowan. A soft curiosity opened inside you, like a small lantern glowing in your chest. You didn't feel called by urgency, only by a sense of warmth. So once again, you rose slowly from the bed. You wrapped yourself in your cozy robe or shawl. Your feet settled onto the soft rug. Your body swayed gently with the rhythm of the train. You moved toward the door, opened it carefully, and stepped into the dim, lantern-lit hallway, where golden light drifted like candle mist along polished wood. The train hummed. You walked, not quickly, not slowly, just peacefully. The lounge car glowed ahead like a hearth at the heart of the train. When you entered, the warmth wrapped around you instantly, the kind not only of fire, but of human presence. The flames in the small fireplace whispered quietly, sending gentle shadows flickering over the walls. There were only a few passengers here, and near the fire sat an old man. He wore a soft wool sweater, the kind carefully mended many times, and a long scarf wrapped loosely around his neck. His hair was silver and white, gently falling around his shoulders. His face was lined not with worry, but with time, the friendly map of a life lived gently. His eyes were warm, brown and soft, like old wood polished by countless seasons. He sat with hands wrapped around a mug of tea, staring into the fire as though listening to its ancient, quiet stories. You recognized him instantly. Grandfather Rowan. He looked up when you entered, and a slow smile blossomed across his face. Not broad, not overjoyed, just content, welcoming, safe. Ah, he said softly. In a voice that sounded like fallen leaves rustling gently underfoot. Another traveler who walks among dreams and waking. You felt no need to explain yourself. He did not expect you to. He nodded toward the chair nearby. Come sit, he said kindly. There is room beside the fire for one more heart at rest. You took the seat. It felt like settling into memory itself. Amina appeared for just a moment, like a gentle star drifting into view, to set a cup of tea before you. Chamomile and honey. Warm as kindness. Then she drifted quietly away, leaving you and the old man in peaceful company. Grandfather, Rowan, waited, not watching you, not pressing, just sitting, like time sitting on a bench beside a winter lake. Finally, he spoke. People often think, he said slowly, that stories are meant to excite, to thrill, to stir the heart into great motion. He paused. But there are other stories, he continued gently. Stories meant to slow the heart, to soften the breath, to cradle the weary and whisper. He lowered his voice. You may rest now. The fire crackled. You listened, because how could you not? His words did not feel like lessons. They felt like blankets. And so he began. Long ago, he said, there was a winter cabin deep in the forest. It was small, only a single room with a hearth, a table, and a narrow bed. He smiled faintly. And in that cabin lived an old woodcarver named Lorian. You watched the firelight reflect in his eyes. Lorian lived a quiet life. He continued. He did not seek riches. He did not crave applause. His greatest joy came from carving small animals out of fallen branches, foxes, birds, bears, deer. His hand mimed carving slowly, as though the memory itself rested in his palms. He would sand them smooth. Rowan said, oil them with care, and place them upon his shelves. Not to sell, not to trade, simply to keep. Sometimes, he added with a chuckle barely louder than breath, people would ask him why he did this. Why spend so much time making things no one would buy? He paused, and Lorian would smile and say, because the wood remembers being part of something living. And I like to remind it gently what that felt like. The fire popped. Softly. Years passed, Grandfather Rowan said, voice lowering slightly. Lorian grew older. His hair silvered. His hands slowed. But still, he carved. Not out of duty. Not out of habit. But out of care. One winter, he continued. A great snowstorm came. The roads vanished. The world went silent beneath layers of white. He spread his hands slowly. And one night, there came a knock at his door. The room seemed to lean toward the story. Lorian opened it, and there stood a child, lost, cold, wrapped in rags. Their eyes wide, not with fear, but with exhaustion. You felt your heart soften. Without asking questions, Rowan said, Lorian gathered the child inside. He wrapped them in blankets, fed them soup, placed them in the narrow bed. He watched over them all night, the old man added softly. And every time the child stirred, Lorian whispered the same words. He spoke them like a spell. You are safe here. You may rest. Silence deepened. The storm passed, he said. Weeks went by. The child grew stronger. And when spring arrived, they left to find family, or perhaps to begin a new life. He smiled gently, but before they left, they lifted one of the small wooden animals from the shelf, a fox. Polished smooth by careful hands. They asked, "May I keep this? To remember the feeling of being safe?" Grandfather Rowan nodded slowly. And Lorian said, "Of course. That is what they are meant for." The old man's eyes warmed like embers. Years later, he said, quietly, "That child, now grown, returned. But they did not come alone. They brought with them others who were tired, others who were lost, others who needed a soft place to stop, if only for a night." And so, Rowan finished, the little cabin became a refuge. Not official, not famous, just quietly known. He placed one hand over his heart, and Lorian spent the rest of his days carving small wooden animals, so that everyone who came through might carry a memory of safety with them wherever they traveled. Next, the story ended softly, like snow melting into silence. You breathed in slowly, out slowly. You felt the truth of it settling inside you. Rowan looked at the fire again. Kindness, he whispered, does not need applause. Rest does not need permission. And safety sometimes lives in the smallest gestures. He turned to you, his eyes shining gently. "This train," he said, voice barely above a sigh, "is such a place. A quiet cabin moving through winter. We are not here to hurry you. We are not here to change you. We are simply here to remind you that you may rest." Something in your chest loosened completely, like the final knot untied. You felt warm. You felt still. You felt home. After a while, Rowan rose, moving slowly, like an old tree shifting in the breeze. "I will refill my tea," he said with a soft smile. "Will you stay by the fire a while longer?" You nodded. Words were unnecessary now. He walked away, his steps soft, careful, loving. You remained watching the flames. Your tea cooled slowly in your hands. Your eyelids grew heavier, each blink lasting a little longer. Thoughts drifted. Memories softened. The rhythm of the train wrapped around you like a blanket of sound. Eventually, you stood calmly, sleepily, peacefully. You returned to your cabin, guided by lantern light and the whisper of the rails. The cat lifted her head, eyes full of slow trust, then curled closer when you slipped beneath the blanket again. The bed embraced you. The pillow welcomed you back. The night kissed your forehead. And you drifted, deeper than ever, into a sleep so soft that even dreams whispered gently. The winter night train carried you forward through winter hills beneath ancient stars toward dawn you did not yet need to meet. And you slept on, safe, calm, held by the night. The silent mountain pass the night drifted on like a long, quiet river. The winter night train glided deeper into the heart of winter, following a path that wound gently upward through snowy hills and rising peaks. The world outside had changed once again, but it changed so softly that you barely noticed at first. Inside your cabin, you slept deeply, peacefully, like a stone resting safely at the bottom of a calm lake. The white cat remained curled at your feet, loyal, warm, endlessly content. Her purring hummed like a second layer of the night, blending with the faithful rhythm of the train. Clack, clack, clack. Your breathing followed the same slow rhythm, in and out, in and out. Time had become a gentle blur. Perhaps hours passed. Perhaps only moments. On the winter night train, there was no rush to measure anything. Night existed only to hold you, to cradle every tired thought, to ease every worn-out breath. Eventually, as before, you drifted upward through the soft layers of sleep, rising calmly toward waking. Your eyelids fluttered open, and once again you found yourself lying in warm, honey-colored light. The lamp glowed softly. The blankets hugged you. The air felt soft, like wool, mixed with candle glow. You did not wake sharply. You simply became aware of waking. Outside your window, the world had changed again. The endless lakes and plains were gone. Now mountains surrounded you. Tall, silent, silver blue shapes rising high into the night sky. Their peaks were dusted with snow that glittered beneath the moonlight, like powdered diamonds scattered across their tops. Jagged cliffs softened under winter's touch, their sharp edges rounded by ice and distance. The train followed a narrow path, carved carefully through these mountains, a path older than roads and wider than dreams. The view filled you with awe, but not loud awe. Not overwhelming awe. Quiet awe, the kind that doesn't shout, but whispers. You are small, and the world is vast, and that is a comfort. The cat stretched lazily, then tucked herself even deeper into her curl. You rested for a moment longer, simply watching the mountains glide by. The tracks wound gently around curves, and the train leaned ever so slightly, with each bend smooth and steady. The sky above the mountains looked darker here, deeper, but the stars shone brighter, as though the thin cold air polished them to a brilliant glow. You slipped slowly from the bed, wrapped yourself again in your robe or shawl, touched the soft rug with your feet, and stepped into the lantern-lit corridor. This time, the hallway was completely silent. Everyone else, it seemed, slept deeply now. No whisper of conversation. No clink of teacups. No footsteps. Only the distant heartbeat of the rails beneath your feet. Clack, clack, clack. You followed the faint glow of the lanterns toward the front of the train to another place Elias had mentioned quietly. A carriage few travelers visited unless they felt drawn by the night itself. The mountain viewing car. A small, intimate space near the front, with tall curved windows and soft chairs set far apart, so every traveler could sit in stillness. Alone yet not lonely, you entered. The room greeted you with soft lamplight and deep quiet. Only one other person sat there asleep, wrapped in a blanket, their head resting gently against the window. A faint smile touched their lips, as though the mountains themselves were cradling their dreams. You found a seat near the glass. The mountains rose before you, vast and silent, like ancient guardians watching over the world. You rested your hands in your lap, your shoulders softened, your breathing matched the rhythm of the train. The darkness felt deeper here, but never frightening. Instead, it felt like a soft cave of sky, a place where all worries could go to rest. After a while, a familiar presence approached. You didn't hear footsteps. You simply felt calm grow stronger and new. Elias, he appeared like a gentle thought, forming into shape. His warm eyes reflecting the snowy peaks outside. He didn't speak right away. He simply sat in the chair across the aisle, giving you space, but also company. Together, you gazed out at the mountains. Finally, in a voice only slightly louder than breath, he said, This is my favorite part of the journey." You turned slightly toward him. He continued. "Many travelers never see it," he said softly. "They sleep through these hours, carried peacefully across the silent mountain pass. And that is good. Sleep is always welcome here." His eyes warmed. "But for those who do wake," he looked back at the mountains, "there is a lesson here." You waited, not out of impatience, but quiet curiosity. "These mountains," he said gently, "have stood for longer than anyone remembers. They have seen storms and sunlight, ice and thaw, joy and sorrow. They have listened to footsteps, to hooves, to wagon wheels. And now," he smiled faintly, "to trains." Snow drifted gently over the peaks, catching in the moonlight. "And all that time," he continued, "the mountains have never rushed." His voice softened further. "They stand where they are. They endure. They breathe with the seasons." He folded his hands loosely. "People sometimes believe they must always move quickly, achieve, strive, chase, but the mountains remind us there is another way." He paused. "You may also simply be." The words drifted into you like warm air, resting softly in your chest. "You are allowed," he said, eyes kind, "to stand still, to rest, to not push forward. You are allowed to be tired, and to honor that tiredness with gentleness instead of judgment." You closed your eyes for a moment, letting those words sink in, letting them become part of your breath. Outside, a thin silver mist curled through the mountain valleys, ghost-like, yet peaceful. The train passed through it slowly, the mist whispering over the windows like soft fingers brushing glass. Elias continued. "Not to teach, but simply to share. There is a place near the peak," he said, "where the wind stills." You listened. "It is said," he added with a small smile, "that at that point, if you stand quietly, you can hear your true thoughts. Not the loud ones, not the hurried ones, but the soft ones, the ones that ask only for kindness and rest." He looked at you gently. "You do not need to find that exact place," he said, "because sometimes it appears inside you instead." A stillness spread through the car, through the train, through the night, through you. You let your gaze return to the mountains, feeling both small and safe, held by the vastness rather than lost within it. Minutes, or perhaps hours, passed. You sipped tea Amina had quietly left near your hand, without you even noticing when she arrived. It tasted like warmth and winter flowers. Your eyelids grew heavier. Your shoulders loosened further. Your thoughts floated like snowflakes, drifting slowly down into rest. At last, Elias rose. He didn't speak again. He simply gave you a nod that felt like a blessing, and slipped quietly away. You remained in the mountain viewing car a little longer, until the peaks began to sink behind the horizon, until the world softened again into dark hills and silver fields, until your eyes felt too heavy to stay open. Then peacefully, you returned to your cabin. The cat, your sweet little guardian, lifted her head and gave you a slow, satisfied blink. You smiled, slipped beneath the blankets, sank instantly into warmth, into softness, into stillness. You didn't even notice when your eyes closed. Sleep flowed over you, like snow falling in deep silence, soft, endless, forgiving. The winter night train carried you gently through the silent mountain pass and into the deepest part of the night. You slept on, calm, safe, held completely.
Moonlit valleys of silver snow, the mountains slowly faded behind the winter night train, becoming distant shadows against the deep blue sky. The rails carried you onward through the quiet heart of winter, where valleys stretched wide and still beneath the pale, silver glow of the moon. Inside your cabin, you slept, deeply, quietly, dreaming as softly as snow that never quite reaches the ground. The white cat remained curled where she always did, her warm little body like a pocket of comfort at the edge of your dreams. She purred in her sleep now, the sound barely audible, but you could feel it more than hear it, like a vibration of peace. Purr, purr, purr. The train hummed steadily beneath everything. Clack, clack, clack. Together, the sounds created a gentle lullaby that wrapped around you like layers of soft wool. Time slipped past in peaceful silence. No hurry, no urgency, no demands. Just night and rest. Eventually, as had happened so many times before, your awareness rose gently toward waking. Like a feather floating up through water, you drifted calmly, slowly, without effort. Your eyes opened. The world was still warm and dim, the little bedside lamp painting soft, honey-colored light across the wooden walls. Your blanket hugged your body. Your pillow caught the shape of your head perfectly, as if it had memorized the way you liked to rest. You did not move at once. Instead, you lay still for a few breaths. In and out, letting your mind soften further rather than sharpen. You felt rested, but also dreamy, floating somewhere between waking and sleep. And then you noticed the view, outside your window. The world had opened like a storybook. Wide valleys stretched beneath the train, endless gentle hills covered entirely in snow, smooth and soft as velvet. The moonlight poured across them like liquid silver, pooling in dips and hollows, tracing every curve and slope with quiet grace. The snow did not glitter this time. Instead, it glowed. A soft, steady, silver glow. As though the moon had placed its light inside the snow rather than on top of it. Far in the distance, low hills rose like slow waves, their outlines blurred by delicate drifting mists that glowed faintly in the pale light. It was a world made of calm. A world where nothing hurried, nothing rushed, nothing demanded attention. Everything simply rested. The sight filled you with a feeling so gentle it hardly had a name. Something like peace, something like safety, something like being held gently by the world itself. The cat stirred, stretched, then settled again, clearly content with the universe exactly as it was. You smiled softly, and once more, though completely without pressure. You felt a tender desire to rise and see more of the night. You slipped slowly from the bed, wrapped yourself in the same cozy robe or shawl, touched the warm floor with your feet, and stepped quietly into the lantern-lit hall. This time, you followed a soft trail of light toward another quiet space, a small lounge near the middle of the train where travelers sometimes sat simply to feel the night rather than watch it. It wasn't large. It wasn't bright. It wasn't busy. Just a handful of deep chairs, thick rugs, soft blankets, and wide windows that let the moonlight spill gently into the room. As you entered, you realized you were alone there, but not lonely. The room itself felt alive with stillness. You chose a chair near the window, the fabric soft and warm, the back angled in just the right way to cradle your shoulders. A blanket rested nearby. You pulled it lightly over your knees, and then, you simply watched. The silver valleys drifted by outside, slow and endless, like waves upon an ocean of quiet snow. The moon hung low, heavy with gentle light, and its reflection floated across the surface of the snow as though the ground itself held a sky of its own. Mist curled lazily through the hollows, glowing faintly where the moonlight touched it. It moved slowly, in soft, swirling shapes that looked like dreams wandering through the open night. Your breathing softened even more, your mind grew quiet, thoughts dissolved like footprints disappearing under new snow. Minutes, or hours, passed. Time did not matter, only calm did. After a while, you heard footsteps, slow, soft, unhurried, not loud enough to break the peace, just present enough to share it. You turned slightly, and saw Amina, the storyteller, carrying a tray with a single teapot and 2 cups. She smiled when she noticed you there, a smile like morning sunlight touching frost. "I thought you might enjoy some tea," she said in a soft whisper. You nodded, grateful without needing to speak. She poured quietly. The steam rose gently into the air, carrying with it the scent of something soothing, perhaps lavender, or chamomile blended with winter herbs. You wrapped your hands around the cup, warmth seeped into your skin, into your bones, into your heart. Amina took the chair near yours. Not close enough to intrude, but near enough that you could feel companionship resting nearby like another blanket. For a long time, she said nothing. And neither did you. Silence was welcome here. That it was allowed to exist. Without filling it, finally, she spoke. "When I was a child," she said softly, "my grandmother used to take me outside during winter nights like this. We would walk just a little way out of the village, only far enough that we could see the whole valley spread out beneath the moon. Her voice flowed like gentle snow. She would say to me," Amina continued, "look how the snow glows, even without sunlight. Even when the world is dark, there is always light somewhere." You listened, because her words were as soft as the night. And then she would add, Amina smiled faintly, "and sometimes, that light is inside you, even when you cannot see it yet." Her gaze drifted back to the silver fields. "There are travelers," she said gently, "who board this train carrying heavy nights inside them. Worries, exhaustion, quiet sadness. Storms that have lived in their hearts for a long time." She paused, "and they do not come here to fix those storms. They do not come to outrun them." Her voice softened further. "They come here, to rest from them. To remember that their hearts, too, can glow quietly in the dark, just like the snow beneath the moon." The tea warmed you from within, peace settled more deeply into every part of you. The valleys continued to glide past, silent, silver, safe. You felt the truth of her words not as thoughts, but as calm. Amina watched you gently, then smiled once more. "I will leave you to the quiet," she whispered kindly, and then she slipped away as softly as she had come, like a dream fading into dawn. You remained, wrapped in blanket, cradled by chair. Resting under the moonlit silence, your eyelids grew heavier. Again, the world became softer still. The valleys drifted on, glowing gently, as though the earth itself were whispering sleep into every traveler aboard the winter night train. Eventually, you rose, slowly, peacefully, your body carried with it the quiet glow of the snow. You returned to your cabin, opened the door, and there, your little white cat waited, eyes sleepy, tail curling in content greeting. You slipped beneath the blanket. The bed welcomed you instantly, familiar, perfect, safe. The pillow softly shaped itself to your head. The cat curled once more near your feet, her warmth like a tiny star. Outside the window, the silver valleys flowed onward beneath the moon, and inside you, a deeper stillness formed. A warm glow. A sense of being carried. A sense of being cared for. You closed your eyes, Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift away like mist in moonlight, and once again, you slept, deeply, softly, completely. The winter night train continued its journey through the moonlit valleys of silver snow, carrying you ever deeper into peace. You did not need to do anything, you did not need to try. Sleep simply came, like a gentle snowfall, covering every part of you in quiet, beautiful rest. The long warm night, the winter night train moved steadily through the silver valleys, carried onward by quiet rails and the watchful glow of the moon. Outside, the snow continued its endless, graceful dance, drifting down in slow spirals, resting upon fields and hills and distant trees, wrapping the world in the softest blanket imaginable. Inside your cabin, you slept, not lightly now, not halfway between waking and dreaming, but deeply, completely. As if every part of you, every tired thought, every weary muscle, every piece of your heart, had finally decided to rest at the same time. The white cat curled, as always, at your feet, a small, faithful guardian of warmth and calm. Her breathing was slow and steady. Her fur glowed faintly in the lamplight. Her presence was quiet comfort, like the memory of a lullaby you once knew long ago. Outside your window, the night world flowed on, frozen streams glimmered beneath the moon, soft hills rolled past like ocean waves slowed to stillness, and far in the distance, shapes of trees marked the horizon, gentle silhouettes against silver sky. The train hummed beneath everything. Clack, clack, clack. The rhythm never changed, never hurried, never faltered. It was steady, reliable, kind, and so the long warm night continued. Hours slipped by unnoticed, wrapped in dream-soft silence. You might have dreamed, perhaps of snow-covered fields where warm cottages glowed softly in the distance, perhaps of stars hanging low enough to reach, perhaps of listening to peaceful voices telling stories near a flickering fire. Whatever your dreams were, they were gentle, they held you safely, they did not chase you or confuse you or weigh you down, they simply drifted. Like snow, slow, quiet, tender. From time to time, the little cat stirred, turning in a small slow circle, then settling once again, as though finding the perfect place for sleep each time. Her tail curled close. Her whiskers twitched. And every now and then she gave a tiny sigh, the sound of absolute contentment. The train's glow, the soft lamps, the warm wooden walls, the gentle carpet beneath the beds, the carefully polished brass, all held a deep nighttime calm. Like a sanctuary moving through winter. A traveling haven of peace, the night remained wide, endless, calm. Beyond your cabin, other travelers slept as well. And the tea lounge, cups sat cooling quietly on tables, thin wisps of steam fading into the lamplight. And the observation car. A few blankets lay draped across empty chairs where dreamers had once watched the stars before drifting back to sleep. And the mountain car. The windows reflected nothing but darkness and faint moonshine, as the mountains faded far behind, and in the corridors, lanterns glowed low, little pockets of warmth in the dark. Amina moved softly from carriage to carriage now and then, like a mother checking that every child was tucked in. She lifted blankets gently over shoulders, added logs to the fire where it glowed low, poured tea for the rare traveler who stirred. She never rushed, she walked as though the night itself had taught her to move. Elias, the kind conductor, paced the length of the train as well. Quietly, carefully, making sure every light glowed as it should. Every window latch rested secure. Every traveler rested free from worry. When he passed your cabin, He paused a moment, listening, that he heard calm, that he heard breath, that he heard the cat's soft purr, and with a faint smile, he continued his walk. Grandfather Rowan rested too, wrapped in a blanket by the fire, an open book face down upon his chest, as though the story itself had fallen asleep along with him. His breathing was slow, deep. At home within the night, the winter night train, in its entirety, slept, and still, the rails carried it forward, through valleys, past frozen streams, under an endless sky. At one point, the moon dipped lower, then lower still, until finally, it slipped beneath the horizon. The stars lingered longer, keeping quiet watch, sparkling faintly like tiny silver bells, and eventually, even they began to fade. The darkness softened. Not gone, not broken, just lighter. As though the world itself were inhaling slowly, preparing for dawn, but not rushing it. Inside your cabin, you stirred, only slightly, not quite waking, just shifting, sinking deeper into blankets, into warmth, into safety. Your body had let go now, fully, completely. There was nothing left to carry. Weight. Lists. Unfinished thoughts, only rest. And the long warm night held you. The train swayed gently, rocking you like a cradle. You didn't need to rise. You didn't need to think. You didn't need to do anything but continue resting. From somewhere far away, distant yet close, you might have heard Amina hum a soft lullaby while tidying teacups, or Elias speaking kindly to the rails as though they were old friends, or Rowan turning in his sleep with a contented sigh. But those sounds, if you heard them at all, passed through your dreams like clouds through a sky, light, unburdened, peaceful. The night wrapped itself around the train like a cloak of velvet. The train, wrapped in that cloak, moved gently forward, and all the while, the world remained kind, kind to you, kind to every traveler aboard, kind in a quiet way, not loud or dramatic, but soft, like warm hands, like shared tea, like a cat sleeping at your feet, like voices that say, "You are safe here, you may rest." The long warm night stretched onward, not endless, but slow enough that it felt as though time itself had chosen to sleep beside you. And at last, long after the lakes, long after the mountains, long after the moon, something new began to glow at the very edges of the sky. Not light, not yet, but the promise of light. That a faint softening of darkness, like the first brushstroke of dawn on a sleeping world. That it approached gently, respectfully, not to wake you, not to hurry you, only to wait patiently until you were ready. Inside your cabin, you remained asleep, your breathing deep and calm. The cat nestled closer, as if sensing that the world would change soon, but knowing there was still, always, time to rest. The long warm night did not end suddenly. It faded like music, slowly, softly, kindly. The winter night train continued onward, toward the first fragile colors of morning, carrying you still in perfect peace. You slept on, wrapped in warmth, wrapped in kindness, wrapped in night, and soon, very soon, a new light would greet the world. But not yet, not quite yet. For now, the long warm night still belonged to you, and rest was all that mattered. Arriving in morning light, the winter night train continued gliding gently across the quiet world, wrapped in the last tender folds of night. The sky outside your window had softened, no longer deep midnight blue, but a lighter shade, like ink washed gently with water. Dawn was near, but not yet awakened. Inside your cabin, you slept deeply, peacefully, wrapped in blankets of warmth and quiet. The little white cat still rested curled at your feet, her tiny body a small glowing star of comfort, her breathing steady and slow. The rhythm of the train whispered on. Clack, clack, clack. Like a lullaby that had never once faltered, the world outside waited patiently for the sun, and you continued to rest. Time drifted, soft as snow, eventually, gently, just as the night had allowed each moment of waking to arrive peacefully. Your awareness rose again from the deep well of sleep. Your eyes didn't open immediately. First came breath, slow, easy, content. Then came warmth, the feel of blankets wrapped snug around you, the familiar embrace of the bed that had become your safe haven through the long winter night. And then, light, not bright, not sharp, just a soft glow pressing kindly at the edges of your closed eyelids. You let your eyes open slowly, and there it was, morning that a faint, pastel dawn washed across the snowy world outside. Colors so soft they seemed to whisper rather than shine, gentle. Blush pinks, pale peaches, dreamy silvers, hints of gold beginning to breathe at the horizon. The snow-covered fields glowed beneath the early light. Every hill, every drift, every gentle slope touched by the first shy rays of day. That a long sigh of peace rose inside you. The cat lifted her head, blinked sleepily, then stretched her paws toward the light as though greeting it, before curling again, satisfied that all was well, and all was well. Perfectly, beautifully well. You rested there for a while. Not rising yet, simply absorbing the quiet magic of morning. There was no hurry. Morning did not rush you. Daylight simply arrived softly, patiently, like a kind visitor waiting at the door until you were fully ready to greet it. Eventually, you sat up slowly. The bed released you reluctantly, like a cloud letting go of a dream. Your feet touched the rug. You wrapped your robe or shawl around yourself. And you opened the cabin door one last time, stepping into the peaceful glow of lantern light mixed. Now with the first breath of dawn shining faintly through the corridor windows, the train was quieter than ever, not with the hush of deep night, but with the soft stillness of early morning. Travelers still slept. Blankets remained folded around peaceful bodies. Dreams lingered gently. You followed the familiar path, past doors marked by tiny halos of golden glow, toward the observation lounge, and when you stepped inside, you were greeted by morning in full grace. Tall windows framed a world slowly waking beneath soft pastel skies. Snow sparkled faintly where light finally touched it. Frosted trees shone like crystal sculptures. Frozen rivers glimmered softly like ribbons of glass. And far in the distance, a faint shape appeared. A town, not loud, not crowded, just a quiet winter town. Roofs dusted with snow, chimneys breathing thin wisps of smoke, pale sunlight beginning to trace warm lines across rooftops. That a destination, that a soft return. And beside one of the wide windows, hands folded around a steaming cup of tea, sat Elias, the gentle conductor. That he turned toward you, smiling with the familiar warmth of someone who understands more than he ever needs to say. "Good morning," he said softly. His voice flowed like calm water. Over smooth stones, you returned the greeting, your own voice still tender and dreamy from sleep. That he nodded toward the gentle scenery ahead. "We will be arriving soon," he said. "Not yet. But soon enough." He paused, letting you rest within that thought. Most journeys end abruptly. Trains stop, doors open, people hurry away. But not here, not on the winter night train. Here, even endings came gently. So you sat beside Elias. That he didn't talk constantly. That he didn't explain more than you needed. That he simply remained there, a steady presence. As the world slowly brightened around you, finally, after a long quiet stretch of shared stillness, he spoke again. "Sometimes," he said, "travelers think the important part of the journey is the destination." His eyes softened. "But for us, for this train, the important part is rest. You felt those words like warm sunlight inside your chest. You arrived here, he continued gently, carrying many things. Perhaps worries. Perhaps tiredness. Perhaps thoughts that would not sleep. He glanced toward the snowy horizon, and you allowed the night to hold them for a while. You allowed yourself to breathe, to be carried, to rest. He turned back to you, and that is enough. A calm settled deeper inside you, because he was right that it was enough, more than enough. That he smiled, a calm, knowing smile, the kind that spoke without speaking. You did not need to achieve anything here, you were allowed simply to be, and that was perfect. The sun finally peaked above the horizon, not dramatically, not fiercely, just softly, like the gentle lifting of a sleeping child's eyelids. Warm gold spilled across the fields, painting shadows, tracing outlines, awakening colors that had slept. Through the night, the winter night train glowed beneath the light. Wood shone warmly, brass fittings gleamed softly, windows reflected morning sky. Passengers began to stir. Slowly, peacefully, Amina appeared from the tea lounge, carrying trays of steaming morning tea and warm breakfast breads. Her smile carried the same soft grace as always, but now touched with the gentle brightness of day. Grandfather Rowan wandered in as well, stretching slowly, his book still tucked beneath his arm. Soft greetings drifted through the carriage like birdsong at dawn. No rushing, no noise, just life, quiet, waking life. The train began to slow, not abruptly, but like a long exhale. Steady, gentle, kind. Outside, the town grew closer. Small houses, windows glowing warmly. Snow-dusted rooftops, smoke drifting lazily from chimneys. A small platform, simple, wooden, peaceful, waiting quietly in the morning light. Elias stood, smoothing his coat. It has been an honor to carry you, he said softly, and you believed him, deeply, because this had not been just a train ride. It had been a sanctuary. A pause. A breath. A soft place to rest inside the rushing world. You rose as well. Your heart felt lighter, not empty, but peaceful. You returned to your cabin one final time, gathering your few belongings. The little white cat padded toward you, stretching, tail curling gently. She looked up, eyes warm, and brushed softly against your hand. A farewell. A blessing. A quiet reminder that comfort was never truly gone, only carried forward inside you. You knelt, stroked her silky fur, whispered your thanks. She purred softly, then climbed gracefully back onto the bed, curling once more, waiting for the next traveler who might need her silent companionship. You smiled, left the cabin, and walked slowly toward the exit, following the gentle morning light. Passengers gathered quietly, smiles soft, eyes dreamy. Some nodded good morning, some simply breathed. Still waking to peace, Amina placed a small parcel in your hands, warm to the touch, wrapped in cloth, for later, she said kindly, something warm to share with your day. Rowan lifted a hand in blessing. May your steps be gentle, he murmured, finally. Elias stood near the open door, snow glittering outside, sunlight touching the brim of his cap. He bowed his head slightly. Wherever you go next, he said softly, remember this. His voice became a whisper, you may always rest when you're tired. You are always worthy of kindness. And you are never alone beneath the sky. You stepped off the train, onto the peaceful platform. The wooden boards creaked softly beneath your feet. Cold air brushed your cheeks, fresh and gentle, filled with the scent of snow and wood smoke. In quiet beginnings, you turned slightly. The winter night train waited there, still, glowing in the newborn light, as if smiling. Then, Slowly, beautifully, it began to move again, not rushing, just gliding, graceful as ever. You watched as it slipped quietly down the tracks, deeper into the winter landscape, carrying new travelers toward rest, toward peace, toward sleep. Soon, it became a distant glimmer, then a silver line, then only the whisper of rails. You stood there for a moment longer, breathing, calm, grounded, whole. The town, soft and welcoming, lay before you, morning wrapped around you like a warm shawl, and as you walked forward, you carried something with you that had not been there before, a softness that a peace that a small, glowing quietness inside your chest, the gift of night, the gift of rest, the gift of being carried, gently, through the winter world. And though your journey on the winter night train had come to an end, its lullaby would live on within you, ready to return whenever you closed your eyes and remembered snow, and stars, and the soft whisper of rails. Clack, 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 forever calm, forever kind, forever safe.